Hurricane rain go away at the moment at the Vodafone Gold Coast 600. It's sticking with us for the second race of Cam's Jayco Formula 4. In their last round of the championship in these tricky conditions. Yesterday the sun was shining and they were pushing the limits in qualifying. Warren Luff joining me once again, and here's to looking up at the Virgin Australia chicane, Luffy. A wild moment for Tyler Everingham.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest moments we've seen here all weekend. You can see he gets crossed up through the midsection, tries to do the thing straight line, it just hits that leading edge of the curb, and from there really just a passenger.
Now watch the gearbox protection system at the back, just touching down and acting like a wheelie bar in a drag car, stopping this car from going completely backwards. All four wheels off the ground there for a moment, and the landing, oh boy.
That was a hard landing. Actually took his hands off the wheel, such was the impact, and actually a bit winded after that one, as you can very well imagine.
He managed to qualify in 7th despite that effort. His time was good enough to stick around inside the top 10 spots. So the championship scenario looks a little clearer now. Car 97 weaving and getting some heat into his tyres. Nicholas Rowe has been, well, he's opened up enough of a points gap to be the champion. He's not crowned champion yet. You do have to get to the end of the weekend to get that honour. But the gap is over 67 points. So this one is as good as done for Nick Rowe. He will be the champion for 2017, and a great effort in this championship that started in wet conditions at Sandown will finish in similar conditions here by the looks of things here this weekend. Reverse grid race, so it puts Ryan Sewell on the pole after finishing P5. It was a great drive from Liam Lawson this morning. Did a really good effort, really good job driving off the second row to finish in P1. Continue that form here in this wet race once again. So Rookie of the Year, Ryan Sewell, is starting on pole.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for the guys that were used to being at the front of the field in the last race. They're now back in the pack a little bit, so they're going to have all this spray and everything to deal with, and that's one of the hard things, especially on that opening lap, because the guys in front, they're going to bolt, they're going to have that clean or relatively clean visibility in front of them, but our race winner and the top 5 from the last race, they're buried somewhere back in the pack.
So the grid looks like this for race number 2. It's their reverse grid race. We flipped the top 50% of the finishes from race 1, which puts Sewell on pole alongside Aaron Love. Tough conditions for rookies out there at the moment. Nick Rowe will start inside row number 2, the champion-elect, alongside Simon Fallon, who started on row number 1 for race 1. Liam Lawson, our race winner, will come out of P5. And Cameron Shields has been so strong so far this season, but unfortunately slipping off the road in race 1. And that meant that his championship challenge was finally ended in the escape road down there at the end of turn 11. So it looks like now Nick Rowe can just enjoy himself and race hard for these next 2 races.
Yeah, look, it'll be a massive relief to him to be able to have that championship locked away. And these sort of conditions, the last thing you want to be having to do is worry about what's happening in the championship. So for him, it's going to be a nice sort of fresh breath of fresh air for him. He can just worry about getting on with the racing. From where he's starting on the grid, he's going to have a lot of cars that he's going to have to try and get past to get back to the front of the field. But the important thing for these guys coming through is they just need to take their time. Because obviously visibility is so poor, it's also when you stick your nose down the inside of someone, the ability for them to see you is also compromised. So you really need to make sure that your passing opportunities are done cleanly, because it's easy to end up tagging someone. And in these cars, as we know, when you start tagging wheels, things start to break.
Got the clear visor.
See the look of concentration in there.
3-car operation for Zagami Autosport this weekend, managed by Cameron McConville. A winner here in the first of the endurance races in 2010. Garth Tander at the Holden Racing Team.
Now, the interesting thing for him being on the front row, you can see those painted white lines directly in front of him. That's actually going to be probably a little bit of a drama for him off the line. Everyone's got their grid box to clear, but he's also got those bigger white lines on his initial drive traction.
Fallon's got his car pointed at the wall in the outside of row number 2 as we go racing once again. Cam's Jayco Australian Formula 4, and what a start from Fallon. That aggressive grid box has seen him jump up to second. He'll be side by side with Nicholas Rowe. There's the spray, they're all twitchy under brakes. It's Sewell at the moment. Fallon slots into P2, shortcut for Lewis Leeds, trying to get himself into a clear piece of racetrack. Lawson squirming around.
Relatively clean start, as we say that.
Oh no, it's Lawson. Contact rips the nose off Leeds' car, and Aaron Love's involved. He started on the front row.
And this is something we've unfortunately seen quite a bit in this category. In that opening lap, 3 cars going into the one corner, it just doesn't work.
This is aggressive. BRM versus Zagami versus AGI. Fallon takes the lead away from Sewell with a huge slide. How did he catch that?
And these guys are still going to be trying to get enough tyre temperature to get the cars at their operating temperature. So that's not how you like to see your Formula 4.
Unfortunately for Lewis Leeds, his car's looking like something out of Transformers right now. Bent wishbone suspension, missing the front nose cone, and our brave officials are going to get out there and try and clean up the racetrack so we can stay green. Gee, they do a good job. And that's a good piece of work down there from our officials to keep this race going. So Liam Lawson, who was involved in that crash, is actually in P4 still. And he's got a bent front wing, but pushing on with it.
And this is where on this opening lap, you're really sort of not so sure when you're arriving down here at turn 1, where should you start to brake? Because it's very easy to outbrake yourself. Nice ambitious move down the outside, down the inside there.
Wow, that's brave from Nick Rowe. Oh, there's just about contact between the two of them.
And gets it done.
Sul takes the shortcut to avoid damage and contact. And Nick Rowe's now P2. Great move under brakes. Nick Rowe, speedway racer, knows how to drive in slippery conditions. All right, replays at the start. How about Fallon from P4? Got a blinder. Poor Aaron Love on the front row got left behind. Got worse for him down at turn 4. He's now in the pits, as a matter of fact. So let's see if we can dissect where this all started, Luffy.
So everyone got relatively cleanly through sort of turn 1. One car having to sort of take the cut through there.
From Liam Lawson's point of view, race 1 winner. So it looked like contact between he and Lewis Leeds. Wow, pinching himself between the fence and Love's left rear tyre.
He thought better of it on that one.
Wow, how's the patience down here at turn 1?
You can hear just so gingerly on the brakes down into there, not wanting to sort of get too deep. But then we arrive up here at turn 4.
Oh.
And just way too ambitious down the inside there. You always know that car on the outside is going to start to turn across. And really, sort of that careful approach that he had at turn 1, probably should have applied that down here at sort of turn 4. You can see it's had a little bit of a moment. Maybe he's had a little bit of a brake lock-up. Maybe he wasn't intending to, but that little bit of a lock-up has forced him in there, and then obviously we see that contact as a result.
This was lap 1, the leader, Fallon, up on the curb. And, oh, yep, that's just about as much opposite lock as you can feed into all these little McGowl cars. That was a great slide and a great catch.
And it's great with these clear visors on. You can see the concentration level of these guys in the car.
Liam Lawson hard at work on the back of Ryan Sewell on this replay. These two fighting for, at the time, P3. And Sewell's actually dropped back to 5th as a result of that battle. And maybe this will be why. Here he is. Oh, was there contact there? I saw a little piece go flying off.
That's about as close as you want to get on the approach to turn 1 there.
Nice drive. Zane Morse moving up inside the top 5 spots. Flying under the radar. So Fallon, Rowe, Lawson the top 3. Oops, Lawson had a lock up there. Not sure if he made it through turn 11. It looked pretty messy. Oh, there you go. There's the result.
Struggling to get reverse gear there. These cars obviously don't have a great turning circle. So you see the V8 supercars usually being able to do like a nice little flick turn down there. I think he's tried to sort of do that, but yeah, wasn't able to get it done. Some of the V8 guys did a pretty good flick turn down there yesterday.
Who was that? That amazing driver. It looks like a stunt driver.
Possibly, you never know.
We hear about, you know, when you go racing in wet weather conditions, you look for those go-kart lines or those different lines. Are there different lines you can take around this track?
Look, it's always difficult on a street circuit where you only really got sort of 90-degree corners. We've got obviously the hairpins at the top and bottom end of the circuit, but you don't have that sort of same ability to take the what's called a traditional go-kart line or go wide. Here we see from the onboard.
Oh.
Did the right thing though, thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he goes for his driver's license test, at least he'll know how to do a 3-point turn.
Poor Cameron Shields in race 1 had to do about a 15-point turn getting out of there, and the whole time he was just watching his championship hopes disappear. They were dissolving in the water down at turn 11. Here he is, the 16-year-old from Toowoomba. What a revelation he's been, stepping from Formula 3 into Formula 4. Bright, bright future. Something in the Toowoomba water, I think, Luffy. They just produce great race car drivers.
Pretty good open-wheeler drivers too.
Very good, yeah. Will Power, that pole lap that he set here nearly 10 years ago was just breathtaking. The champ car.
You can can actually see on entry under braking at turn 11 there, and all around this circuit, you can see how these guys are really trying to position their car to avoid the painted surfaces on the road, because that's probably one of the biggest issues that you've got. Being a street circuit, you've got painted white lines and everything like that for normal everyday traffic. And in these conditions on a street circuit, like you can see the zebra crossing across the road there, it's those painted surfaces that cause you the greatest amount of grief. So whilst you don't have the same option like you do on a normal traditional circuit to take the nice big sweeping wide line, which works on a really long radius corner, here it's all about trying to sort of stay off the painted surfaces. So you'll see them down here on the entry to 1, try and sort of position their car on the entry there. You've got no choice but to cut across those white lines. But unfortunately, even through here, you still have to take the traditional dry weather line. You don't have that much room.
Shields is close enough now to Tyler Everingham. Let's see if he can find a way through on the youngster from Dubbo. A couple of 16-year-olds squaring off, taking a break from exams and schoolwork to race a Cam's Jayco Formula 4 car on the streets of Surfers Paradise.
I'm pretty sure their story for show and tell on Monday will be much better than some of their friends.
It's all part of it when you're at this age. You need to balance studies and racing. It's a difficult combo. Something they've had to battle all the way through their junior careers with karting as well. A lot of these drivers stepping out of the Australian Karting Championship, as Jordan Mazzaroli nearly found the fence that time in the turn 11 part of the circuit. Now Liam Lawson has caught him and will try and pick him off. That damaged front wing still pushing on out there.
So Simon Fallon's doing a great job out front, just managing that 2-second lead that he's got back there to Nick Rowe. Last lap, Nick's just sort of pipped him by another couple of tenths, but for Simon Fallon, he just needs to keep his head sort of square. Massive oversteer moment, and that's that exit curb that we've seen cause a lot of problems for these guys, especially in the dry conditions. But as you're eager to get on the power coming out of there, he's just got up there, and you can see the back of the car kick sideways, and that's actually going to hurt him on the run down to turn 4.
This is great stuff.
So you can see he's still using the bit of curb there on the entry there, which is fine. But it's at this point now when you're wanting to get back on the throttle, the car's come off the curb there, and you can see that opposite lock coming in straight away. Probably a little bit eager getting on the throttle. And look at the concentration of his eyes there. Spotting that outside wall, just feathering that throttle, trying to straighten it up, making sure you can actually see he's looking in that left mirror to make sure that that left rear tyre actually clears the tyre bundle.
Great images as we go back to this battle between Mazzaroli and Lawson. Comes the fast Kiwi in car 30 for BRM. Visibility oh so difficult. Those red shining lights vital today. The wet weather beacons on the back of these cars, and Lawson does get through for P7.
There was also a great bit of driving and observation skills of Mazzaroli there to see him go down the inside. And that's one of the great things about this category. It really teaches these guys that are straight out of go-karting. They've got to start to use their mirrors and do all these sorts of things that they haven't been used to in go-karting. But that was really good driving by both of those guys there in these sorts of conditions to get through that corner nice and cleanly.
Still Cam Shields sits behind Tyler Everingham. Zane Morse doing a really good job in P3 at the moment, having his best run for quite some time. The youngster from Canberra with a big moment going through the Virgin Australia chicane on the backstretch here.
You can see understeer, oversteer, understeer, oversteer.
Busy, busy, busy. In a little Miguel chassis. 1.6 litre Ford Motors turbo. Pushing these cars around, just 625 kilos with the driver. Difficult in these conditions. Saw Cameron Shields actually wiping the visor then. Struggling for vision, tucked in behind Tyler Everingham.
And again, that's one of the unique challenges that the street circuits throw up because of the walls around the circuit.
That's a long way back, and Everingham's very sporting in the room that he gives him down there.
Very polite. But yeah, like I was saying, one of the problems that you've got with the spray around here is because the spray can't actually go anywhere because you've got the walls either side, you've got the catch fences, the spray tends to go up and come straight back down. On a regular circuit, you've usually got a bit of wind or something like that. It can tend to sort of blow the spray away from the track. So again, it's one of the unique challenges of racing here on a street circuit, and this is all experience for these guys. As we spoke about, a lot of these guys, we've got a lot of rookies here this year. More than half the field have never raced here at the Gold Coast before, and now they're doing it in some of the worst conditions possible.
Not getting any better out there, that's for sure. Tricky today for the Virgin Australia Supercars. We go back on board with Liam Lawson. Had that moment earlier. He's been trying to pick his way through the field. Tyler Everingham, the next driver. And we'll just see how bad this visibility is right now.
And you can see as the speed increases, so does the lack of visibility. And especially on the run into this back beachside chicane, trying to sort of pick your brake marker, because these cars don't have brake lights like we're used to in the V8 supercars. So you're trying to sort of judge your braking distance. Great run through there. He's probably going to have a think about a move down the inside down here. Very nice. And that all started with a better run off that beach chicane, trying to beat the car in front back to full throttle. You can hear there lots of wheel spin on the exit. For these guys, power down is usually not something they have to worry about in the dry conditions.
Ryan Sill has been pushing on since the start of this race, trying to escape the clutches of Cam Shields. Nice work as he gets sideways. And oh, not this curb again. Wow. It's got a bit of a Sebastian Bourdais look about it, this car.
Very much so. Even the colours of the helmet are very similar to Bourdais.
10 years to the day since Sebastian Bourdais picked up a race win here on the streets of the Gold Coast. Some great names who have raced here over the many, many years. It's also Alan Grice's 75th birthday today.
Oh, there you go.
For those playing along at home. Some more numbers for you. Nick Rowe, who's our champion to be, escaping Cam Shields in this championship fight. He's bringing up his 50th race start in this race, the first driver to reach 50 starts, which is a great effort.
With only 2 laps to go, Simon Fallon's doing a great job out front. But Nick Rowe's starting to sort of catch him. It's down to just over 1 second. So with only 2 laps to go, Nick Rowe doesn't have a championship that he has to worry about.
Meanwhile, Simon Fallon, our race leader that we're talking about. Whoa! Smashing into the Hino wall. And now timing saying that he has just dropped back to second. Oh, no.
You can see there, massive moment on the way in, just carried too much speed, impact with the outside wall.
It's gone from bad to worse. And that looks like a driver who is very, very disappointed. Oh, it's given the race to Nick Rowe.
He's done such a great job of managing that lead, doing a great job out front, and only a lap and a half from home.
8-second gap for Nick Rowe. His 50th race. The first driver to reach 50 starts in this championship. And it's looking like it's going to be a victory in his 50th race. He won a wet race at Sydney Motorsport Park. It was a 13-lap race. He won it by just over 12 seconds. It still stands as the largest margin of victory ever in a Formula 4 race. He does like these conditions. Granted, he had a bit of a free kick in this one. But on his championship weekend, he'll get to pick up a race win. There is poor Simon Fallon watching the race leader go by, thinking that should be me right now, but it's the Australian Unity driver of Nick Rowe. Now, as we call it, champion-elect here, Luffy's going to get a race win on the streets of Surfers Paradise. Oh, now Cameron Shields has gone in and Mazzaroli nearly joins him. Not a great race for BRM as they watch AGI take a win off them. And he'll win his 50th race in style. Congratulations, Nick Rowe, over 8 seconds clear of Zane Morse. How about that for Zane Morse? Just kept his nose clean, and he'll pick up easily his best race result. First time he's finished in the top 3 placings. Congratulations to the 18-year-old. And it's the experienced boys. When I say experienced, the 18-year-olds, they get the job done in these conditions.
Yeah, great drive there by Nick Rowe, but you've really got to feel for Simon Fallon there. As I said, he's done such a great job. Contact with that wall on the exit of turn 11, and he's arrived down at the next corner, down at turn 12, and obviously as he's gone to turn in with that steering being bent, he was just a passenger.
Now, was there more to the tail? We've seen the BRM boys into it this year. Oh, yes. Wowee.
Desperate move down the inside and just basically drove him into the outside wall.
Gee, Liam Lawson's not making many friends out there at the moment. He had his hands full out there during that race. He finishes P4, but I wonder if Carl Reinler will be investigating a few moves pulled in that one. It's Nick Rowe winning his 50th race. Congratulations to the Fast West Aussie, and has really put the icing on that championship here this weekend.